alive?
No one knows. They make themselves now.
The Mosquito, all right, I'm positive.
Reptilian from 1999 is the perfect place to start our journey. This South Korean take on giant monsters went all out with a creature that looked like Godzilla's cousin who spent too much time at the gym. The monster showed up in Seoul and just decided to redecorate the entire city, one building at a time. The best part? They filmed most of the destruction scenes in broad daylight, which made the rubber suit look extra special. But you know what? That's exactly what made it amazing. The destruction scenes were pure chaos, with buildings crumbling left and right and people running around screaming their heads off. The monster had this weird roar that sounded like a vacuum cleaner fighting with a tuba, and I absolutely love it. Every time I watch it, I notice something new and hilarious.
Destruction beyond imagination.
Next up is Mandroid from 1993, and trust me, this one is a wild ride. Picture this: a scientist creates a robot that ends up going completely bananas and growing to the size of a skyscraper. The special effects budget was probably about the same as my lunch money, but they still managed to make it work. The robot looked like someone wrapped their dad in tinfoil and said, "Go crush that cardboard city." But there's this one scene where Mandroid picks up a car and tries to eat it like a sandwich that's just perfect. They even gave the robot these weird glowing eyes that looked like someone stuck flashlights behind red jello. The best part was the scientist who created Mandroid spending the whole movie yelling, "My creation, what have I done?" while running through obviously miniature streets. Pure gold. What's your favorite forgotten monster movie from the 90s? I bet there's some wild ones we missed. Drop them in the comments below and tell us why they're awesome. Project Gargantua from 1998 takes us deep into the Arctic Ocean, where apparently a giant octopus whale thing decided to wake up and cause trouble. The CGI looks like something made on a computer running Windows 95. But that's not even the best part. The monster has this weird habit of roaring like a lion, even though it's supposed to be a sea creature. Every time it pops out of the water, it sounds like someone recorded a cat being woken up from a nap and amplified it by 1,000. The scientists in the movie spend half their time looking through binoculars and saying things like, "That's impossible," while the monster is literally right behind them. My favorite scene is when it tries to be sneaky and hide behind an iceberg that's clearly smaller than it is. Classic 90s monster logic.
What is this?
They found a way to bring back dinosaurs.
You guys are not ready for Carnosaur 2 from 1995. This movie said, hey, what if we took Jurassic Park but made it way more bonkers? They stuck some genetic experiment dinosaurs in an underground nuclear facility because apparently regular dinosaurs weren't dangerous enough. The raptors in this movie look like they were made from Halloween masks and pool noodles, but they still managed to be scary in a weird way. The whole thing plays out like a fever dream where everyone makes the worst possible decisions. Like, who sees a dinosaur and thinks, "Let me go check if it's friendly"? The best scene is when they try to trap a raptor in the facility's cafeteria, and it somehow knows how to open doors. Not just regular doors, it figures out how to use the keypad. These dinosaurs were living in 3023 while everyone else was stuck in 1995.
Just don't touch it if you don't know what it is. Don't touch it, it attacked me.
Unimaginable.
Ticks from 1993 might be the weirdest one on our list. Someone thought, let's make giant ticks, but make them really angry. These things were the size of beach balls and looked like someone crossed a tick with a bodybuilder. The movie follows these teenagers at a wilderness camp who run into these steroid-powered bugs. The practical effects team went all out. When these ticks explode, they splash this weird green goo everywhere that looks like radioactive maple syrup. There's this amazing scene where a tick bursts out of someone's face, and you can totally tell it's just a puppet, but it's still super gross in the best possible way. The characters keep trying to kill these things with bug spray, which is like trying to stop a tank with a water gun.
Take a nap, pal.
Let me me tell you about Mosquito from 1995 because this one is pure gold. The setup is beautiful. Alien radiation makes mosquitoes grow to the size of helicopters. They built these massive mosquito puppets that look like they came straight from a carnival ride, but that's what makes them awesome. The movie has these scenes where the mosquitoes try to steal a truck by picking it up with their giant proboscis. And the sound effects? Imagine a vacuum cleaner having a fight with a kazoo. That's what these mega mosquitoes sound like. The local townspeople try fighting them off with bug zappers and citronella candles at first, which goes about as well as you'd expect. There's this fantastic scene where a mosquito gets stuck in a gas station sign and causes an explosion that looks like it was filmed with fireworks from someone's backyard. If you had to remake one of these movies today with a big budget, which one would you choose? Share your pick and tell us what modern effects you'd add.
Developing at an incredible rate. It's economic virus. Whatever we hit it with develops an immunity within.
Time for Aberration from 1997, a movie that proves even lizards can be ninja assassins. These mutant lizards are super fast, weirdly smart, and apparently really into home invasion. The main lizard puppet looks like someone took a regular iguana costume and attached it to a remote control car, and it's absolutely perfect. There's this scene where the lizards figure out how to use the house's air vents to get around, and you can totally see the fishing line pulling them through the ducts. The main character spends half the movie trying to convince everyone that killer lizards are real, while these things are literally having a party in her kitchen. My favorite part is when they discover the lizards hate the cold, so everyone ends up running around with fire extinguishers like they're in some weird pest control version of Ghostbusters.
And curse of the undead.
Let's talk about The Bone Splitter from 1991, a movie that deserves a special place in the Hall of Fame of weird monsters. Imagine someone looked at a praying mantis and thought, what if we made it 30 feet tall and gave it a bad attitude? The creature design looks like they stapled together parts from the clearance aisle of a Halloween store, but somehow it totally works. The monster has this funny habit of doing martial arts moves while fighting the military, complete with roundhouse kicks and what looks like mantis-style kung fu. There's this incredible scene where it crashes through a shopping mall and gets tangled up in a bunch of mannequins, leading to this bizarre dance sequence that wasn't supposed to be funny, but totally is. The best part is when they try to explain its origin story. Apparently it came from a radioactive pet store. Which of these movie monsters would win in a fight? Create your own monster battle matchup in the comments. My money's on Metal Beast versus Glass Shadow.
This one seems to have modified itself.
It was designed to protect them from...
Let me introduce you to Screamers from 1995, a movie about killer robots that turn into giant monsters because why not? The robots start off small, like angry toasters with attitude, but then they merge together to form this massive mechanical nightmare that looks like a blender had a baby with a tank. The transformation scene is pure gold. You can literally see the cardboard boxes they used to make the robot parts. There's this hilarious scene where the giant robot tries to sneak through the city by wearing a tarp like some kind of mechanical ghost. The sound design is something special too. Every movement sounds like someone throwing pots and pans down a staircase while playing a synthesizer. My favorite part is when they try to explain the robot's power source as advanced technology, while you can clearly see the extension cord trailing behind it. Let's dive into the Creeping Terror from 1992, not to be confused with the 1960s classic. This movie brought us a monster that looks like someone threw a bunch of shag carpets into a blender and said, perfect. The creature is basically a giant slug with tentacles, but the best part is how it moves. Instead of using any fancy effects, they just had people inside the costume crawling around on their hands and knees. You can literally see their shoes sticking out sometimes. The monster's big weakness turns out to be table salt, which leads to this amazing scene where the military tries to defeat it by raiding every restaurant in town. There's this priceless moment where the monster gets stuck in a revolving door and just keeps going around and around while dramatic music plays in the background. Next up is Metamorphosis from 1997, where science goes horribly wrong in the most entertaining way possible. A scientist tries to cure diseases by mixing human DNA with various animals, and surprise, surprise, it creates a monster that keeps changing shape. One minute it looks like a giant rabbit, the next it's part lizard, then suddenly it's got tentacles. The transformation scenes are incredible. You can see the zippers on the costumes, and sometimes they just switch between different rubber suits mid-scene. The funniest part is when the creature gets confused about what it wants to be and ends up looking like a walking zoo gift shop. There's this scene where it tries to climb a building but keeps changing forms halfway up, dropping rubber body parts all over the place.
Citizens of Earth, beware.
Hold on to your seats for Zarkorr the Invader from 1996 because this one is a real treat. The movie starts with aliens sending a giant monster to Earth, but here's the twist. They also randomly pick a postal worker to be Earth's champion. Why a postal worker? Nobody knows. The monster looks like they took every leftover piece from other monster costumes and glued them together. It's got the head of a dragon, the body of a dinosaur, and what looks suspiciously like oven mitts for claws. The best scene is when Zarkorr gets stuck between two buildings because its costume is too wide and they try to play it off like it's an intentional battle strategy. The postal worker's solution to save the world involves certified mail, which is exactly as ridiculous as it sounds. What's the worst special effect you've ever seen in a monster movie? Share your story below, bonus points if you can find a movie worse than Mosquito's helicopter scene. Next up is Robot Jocks from 1990, and trust me, this one is a wild ride. Picture this, massive mech robots battling it out in a dystopian future, piloted by humans with questionable strategies. The special effects budget was probably about the same as my lunch money, but they still managed to make it work. The robots looked like someone glued together old action figures and said, "Perfect, now smash some stuff." There's this one scene where a robot delivers a flying kick straight out of a wrestling match, and it's glorious. The best part, the cheesy pilot rivalry where the lines are delivered with all the intensity of a daytime soap opera. Pure gold. What's your favorite forgotten monster movie from the 90s? I bet there's some wild ones we missed. Drop them in the comments below and tell us why they're awesome.
Protectors of the planet.
Purple sticky punch or hemp is an excellent source.
Biodome Terror from 1997 takes us deep into a self-contained ecosystem where scientists accidentally create a mutant plant creature. The CGI looks like something made on a computer running Windows 95, but that's not even the best part. The monster has this weird habit of mimicking human voices, which leads to several scenes of characters yelling, "Who's there?" at what is obviously a giant carnivorous plant. My favorite scene is when it tries to be sneaky and hides among regular plants, despite being about 10 feet tall and glowing green. Classic 90s monster logic.
My God.
Let me tell you about Island of the Mutant Crab from 1994, because this one is pure gold. The setup is beautiful. Scientists on a remote island accidentally mutate crabs into gigantic carnivorous monsters. The practical effects team went all out with these oversized crab puppets that looked like they were made out of papier-mâché and old tires. There's this amazing scene where one of the crabs attacks a beach party, and you can clearly see the crew using ropes to make the claws move. The sound effects? Imagine a creaky door mixed with someone cracking walnuts. The characters spend half the movie trying to fight the crabs with kitchen utensils, which leads to a hilarious moment where someone actually yells, "Get the butter!" My favorite scene is when one of the crabs gets tangled in a volleyball net, and the cast tries to make it look terrifying while the crab just wiggles around helplessly. Dragon Fury from 1995 is the perfect kickoff to our journey through 90s monster madness. This fantasy meets sci-fi gem features a giant dragon terrorizing a futuristic city, blending medieval myths with cyberpunk vibes. The dragon looks like a hybrid of a papier-mâché sculpture and a rejected amusement park ride, with glowing red eyes that seem perpetually cross-eyed. The destruction scenes are absolutely chaotic, with the dragon using its tail to knock over miniature skyscrapers like they're bowling pins. The movie's standout moment? A mid-air battle where the dragon fights a helicopter and you can totally see the wires holding up the dragon puppet. The sound design is something special too. Every time it roars, it sounds like a vacuum cleaner malfunctioning. Despite the low-budget effects, the movie's sheer ambition makes it a must-watch. It's a delightful mix of hilarity and heart that only 90s monster movies could pull off.
inhabited by exotic women.
Check out the hooters on those bays.
You guys are not ready for Raptor Island from 1994. This movie dared to ask, what if dinosaurs were resurrected on a deserted tropical island and then got really angry? The plot revolves around a military team investigating mysterious disappearances, only to find themselves face to face with prehistoric predators. The raptors in this movie are a sight to behold. Rubbery costumes with glowing green eyes that seem to stare in two directions at once. The characters' strategies for survival are absolutely ridiculous, with one standout scene where they try to distract a raptor by throwing canned food at it. The highlight, a climactic showdown on a crumbling wooden bridge where the raptors display surprisingly good balance despite their clunky costumes. The movie's chaotic energy and nonsensical decisions make it an unforgettable entry in 90s creature features. Let me tell you about Predator Island from 1996, a movie that took Dinosaurs Meet Disaster movie to a whole new level. In this one, a secret military experiment goes wrong on a remote island, unleashing genetically modified predators that are part dinosaur, part alien. The creatures look like someone mixed a T-Rex with a xenomorph, complete with glowing claws and a tail that's way too long for any practical purpose. The highlight of the film is a scene where one of the creatures infiltrates a military bunker and manages to use a keypad with its oversized claws, proving even monsters can have a tech-savvy side. The team's plan to stop the creatures, lure them into a volcano naturally. The CGI is gloriously bad, with explosions that look like they were done with clip art, but that just adds to its charm. It's Jurassic Park meets a fever dream, and honestly,
I know it's alive, and you guys just stepped right.
Remote detonator. Should be able to detonate from inside the helmet.
And for our final monster masterpiece, we've got to talk about Deep Freeze from 1992. Picture this. Scientists in Antarctica discover a frozen woolly mammoth, but plot twist, it's actually an alien that just happens to look exactly like a mammoth made of rubber. The creature design is absolutely priceless. It looks like they took a carnival elephant costume and stuck it in a freezer for a few days. The monster has this special power where it can shoot ice from its trunk, but the effect is clearly just someone standing off camera with a fire extinguisher. There's this amazing scene where it chases a snowmobile, and you can totally see the wheels under the costume crushing the fake snow, which is obviously just painted bubble wrap. The best part, every time the monster appears, they play this weird sound effect that sounds like someone mixed an elephant's trumpet with a freezer defrosting. They tried to make the Arctic setting look convincing by painting everything white and turning on some fans, but you can see palm trees in the background of some shots. If you were making a low-budget monster movie today, what kind of creature would you create? Share your monster movie pitch in the comments. Practical effects only, just like the good old days. And there you have it, monster fans. 20 absolutely wild creature features from the 1990s that deserve way more love than they get. Sure, the effects might look like somebody raided a costume shop with a budget of $20, but that's exactly what makes them special. These movies weren't trying to win Oscars, they were just trying to give us a good time. And honestly, mission accomplished. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, smash that like button harder than Zarkorr smashed that cardboard city. Drop a comment below with your favorite forgotten monster movie. I bet there are tons we haven't covered yet.